The year was 1930. The world was very different then. People traveled by ship, not airplane. Radio was the newest technology. Movies had no sound. But in a small country called Uruguay, something amazing was about to happen. The first FIFA World Cup was going to start, and it would change football forever. Jules Rimet was a French man who loved football. He was the president of FIFA, the organization that controls world football. For many years, he had a big dream. He wanted to bring the best football teams from all countries together for one big tournament. He wanted to find out which country had the best football team in the world. In 1928, Jules Rimet and other FIFA leaders met in Amsterdam. They made an important decision. They would create a new tournament called the World Cup. Every 4 years, countries from around the world would send their best players to compete. The winning country would be the world champion. But they needed to choose where to hold this first World Cup. Many countries wanted to host it. Italy wanted it. Spain wanted it. The Netherlands wanted it. Uruguay also wanted it, but they were far away in South America. Most European countries thought it was too far to travel. Then Uruguay made a special offer. They said they would pay for all the teams to come to their country. They would give them free hotels and free food. They would even pay for their ship tickets. Uruguay was celebrating 100 years of independence in 1930, and they wanted to make it special. There was another good reason to choose Uruguay. They had won the football gold medal at the 1924 Olympics in Paris. They won again at the 1928 Olympics in Amsterdam. Everyone knew that Uruguay had a very good football team. FIFA decided that Uruguay would host the first World Cup. The news was exciting, but there was a problem. In 1930, traveling to South America took a long time. There were no passenger airplanes. Ships took 3 weeks to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Many European teams did not want to make such a long journey. Only 13 countries agreed to come to Uruguay. This was much less than FIFA hoped for. From Europe, only 4 countries came: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. The other 9 teams were from South America and North America. France almost did not come either. Their players were worried about missing work for so long. But Jules Rimet himself convinced them to go. He even traveled with the team on the ship to Uruguay. Romania had a special story. Their king, Carol II, loved football. He chose the Romanian team himself and gave the players time off from work. Without the king's help, Romania could not have come to the World Cup. The South American countries were excited to participate. Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, Peru, Bolivia, and of course Uruguay all sent teams. From North America, the United States and Mexico joined the tournament. The tournament started on July 13, 1930, in Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. The first game was between France and Mexico. France won 4-1. Lucien Laurent from France scored the first goal in World Cup history. Nobody knew then that this goal would be remembered forever. The tournament was different from today's World Cup. There were only 13 teams, so FIFA divided them into 4 groups. 3 groups had 3 teams each. One group had 4 teams. The winners of each group would play in the semifinals. The games were played in 3 stadiums in Montevideo. The biggest stadium was called Estadio Centenario. Uruguay built this new stadium especially for the World Cup. Could hold 90,000 people. It was one of the biggest stadiums in the world at that time. The first week of games was very exciting. Argentina won all their games easily. They beat France 1-0, Mexico 6-3, and Chile 3-1. Their star player was Guillermo Stabil, who scored 8 goals in the tournament. Uruguay also won all their games in the group stage. They beat Peru 1-0 and Romania 4-0. The home crowd was very happy. Thousands of people came to watch every game. The United States surprised everyone. They beat Belgium 3-0 and Paraguay 3-0. American football was not very popular then, but they had a good team. Many of their players were actually born in Europe but moved to America. Yugoslavia was the 4th team to reach the semifinals. They beat Brazil 2-1 in a very exciting game. Brazil was expected to do well, but they went home early. The semifinals were played on July 26th and 27th. Argentina played against the United States. Argentina won easily 6-1. Guillermo Stabil scored 2 more goals. Uruguay played against Yugoslavia in the other semi-final. The game was much closer. Yugoslavia took the lead first, but Uruguay came back to win 6-1. The home crowd was very excited, so the final would be Argentina against Uruguay. These two countries were neighbors and big rivals. Argentina had won the Copa America tournament many times. Uruguay had won the Olympic gold medals. Both countries thought they had the best team. The final was played on July 30th, 1930, at the Estadio Centenario. Almost 70,000 people came to watch. This was the biggest crowd ever seen for a football game in Uruguay. There was a funny problem before the game. Both teams wanted to use their own football. Argentina wanted to use an Argentine ball. Uruguay wanted to use a Uruguayan ball. The referee had to make a decision. He said they would use the Argentine ball in the first half and the Uruguayan ball in the second half. The game started at 2:30 in the afternoon. Argentina played very well in the first half. They scored 2 goals and led 2-1 at halftime. Pablo Dorado scored first for Uruguay, but Carlos Pucel and Guillermo Stabil scored for Argentina. But in the second half, everything changed. Maybe it was the Uruguayan ball, or maybe it was the home crowd. Uruguay scored 3 goals and won 4-2. Pedro Sea, Santos Iriarte, and Hector Castro scored the goals that made Uruguay the first World Cup champions. The celebration in Montevideo was incredible. People danced in the streets all night long. Ships in the port blew their horns. The government declared the next day a national holiday. In Argentina, people were very sad. Some angry fans threw stones at the Uruguayan embassy in Buenos Aires. The rivalry between the two countries became even stronger. Jules Rimet presented the trophy to the Uruguay captain, José Nasazzi. The trophy was made of gold and silver. It was called the Jules Rimet Trophy. Uruguay kept it for 4 years until the next World Cup. The first World Cup was a success, even though only 13 teams participated. The total attendance was 590,549 people for 18 games. This was amazing for 1930. Radio broadcasts brought the games to people all over South America. The tournament proved that the World Cup was a good idea. Countries that did not come to Uruguay were sorry they missed it. FIFA promised that the next World Cup in 1934 would be even bigger and better. Looking back, the 1930 World Cup was the beginning of the most important football tournament in the world. Every 4 years since then, except during World War II, countries have competed to be world champions. The tournament has grown from 13 teams to 32 teams, and now 48 teams will participate starting in 2026. Uruguay, with a population of only 2 million people, remains the smallest country ever to win the World Cup. They proved that with passion, skill, and home support, any country can achieve great things in football. The legacy of that first World Cup lives on today. Every time we watch the World Cup, we remember those pioneers who traveled across the ocean to play in Uruguay. They started a tradition that brings the whole world together every 4 years to celebrate the beautiful game of football.